Friendo, Steve here.
Larson.
And welcome back to Going in Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to on today's episode. It's Wednesday, which means it's time for us to take a look at your hot takes. Our Elimination Chamber predictions are available right now here on the main channel. So you can take a look at those. They went up yesterday, looking ahead to Elimination Chamber. But the Hall of Fame is also coming up at Wrestlemania.
Yes.
And that's what we're going to start with talking about tonight. Specifically, AJ Styles, who's going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. He's saying his goodbyes to WWE. And Eduardo Morales starts us off today with the hot takes by saying AJ's farewell segment was 2 times better than Cena's after his farewell match. So if you recall, Cena had a video package. The crowd was booing Triple H pretty relentlessly.
Yeah.
The general match they were kind of booing. Do you think AJ's was a 2x multiplier on John Cena's?
They were just very different things, you know. Cena, known as one of the best promos in the history of the industry, never got the opportunity or didn't take advantage of an opportunity if it was presented to him to do the goodbye promo. They had the video package, and Cena showed a scintilla of genuine human emotion during that video package, because it doesn't happen very, very often with John Cena.
No, it does not.
And he left his shoes and his wristbands in the ring, and he left.
Yeah.
AJ got the opportunity to deliver a very heartfelt, genuine promo to say his goodbyes, to say his thank yous. And, AJ, Cena comes off as so robotic, though, too, Like, talking about him showing Cena, that is, like, emotion beyond, like, the bare minimum, seemingly.
Sometimes he comes off as like an approximation of a human being.
Yes. Whereas AJ comes off as about as genuine a person as you can meet. And I think that was the power in AJ's farewell, is like, in terms of how the promo was delivered, it wasn't perfect, but it was genuine. It was heartfelt. He was getting emotional leading up to word 1 of that promo. And I think that's the difference, is you watch AJ's promo, you get the emotion from it.
Dude, going kind of, and I don't want to get too heavy with breaking down fundamentally what both these people are, but AJ has always come across as what you just said, genuine, and also as somebody who, geez, how do you put this? For somebody who has dazzled so much in the ring, he doesn't come across as a guy who flaunts it.
The word you're looking for is humility.
Yeah.
He's humble.
And
he comes across as humble. Yeah.
John Cena, at this point especially, and I think this plays into this particular hot take, he's no longer kind of like a person. He's an entity. He's almost a corporation unto himself. He is a business. And he got the farewell of a business.
Yeah.
They had the entire premium live event centered around him. AJ's retirement didn't even get the main event. His speech got the main event segment, but his match was at the Royal Rumble, and the Royal Rumble, the men's Royal Rumble, got the main event segment. It got the main event match. And that's a very AJ thing. The word humility that you just threw out there, that's a perfect way to put it. He brings his suburban family into the ring with him, in the end. He gives his, like you say, imperfect farewell speech, but who of us could deliver amongst friends a perfect farewell speech? He didn't even give a speech. He just said goodbye. He just said what he had to say. And that is the core difference between Cena and AJ. And when you get something that just feels like you're at an actual, I went to a couple retirement gatherings at the post office because my dad was a postal worker. Lacey was a postal worker. And so, when my dad retired, I showed up, and it's a team meeting. They got a cake on a table. Your friends razz you. They roast you a little bit. They say a heartfelt goodbye. That's what we got from AJ because he's a worker.
Yeah.
He's as blue collar as they get. The irony being his moveset and what he can do in the ring is so flashy.
Yeah.
And that's the dichotomy that people love about AJ Styles. I mean, dude, he's my favorite interview that we ever did.
Yeah.
Because it was like talking to a bud, because he's our age and we're talking about video games and he's legitimately into video games. And so it was also genuine. He's obviously so well loved by everybody in the company. Whereas you look at John Cena, and I'm sure that he's loved by a lot of people, but when Cena shows up, it's like a thing is here.
Mm-hmm.
Business guy is here.
Mm-hmm.
And although people might like Cena a lot, I don't know how much they really know how to relate to John Cena. That's the vibe I get anyways. I'm not there, but that's the vibe. Yeah. It's like, oh, The Miz shows up, and I'm sure he's close with Cena. But, Cena and him talk about business stuff and how things are effective. I feel like AJ just talks probably about football with the people in the back.
Yeah.
Cena's interview where he said, hey, AJ, are you going to have your last retirement? Man, I'm 48. That's the most realistic, like down-to-earth shit. Man, I'm 48. Who needs WrestleMania when I got the Rumble and I got Atlanta, my send-up? It's the most genuine thing.
Yeah. Yep.
So from a viewer standpoint, yeah, I get it. I get why there wasn't the pomp and circumstance and formality of the Cena one. It felt like we were an actual retirement gathering, which is if you can televise moments that feel genuine like that speaks so much more to your fan base, I think, than what we got with Cena, which I think was as good as they could have done for Cena,
Yeah. And I don't know what a Cena goodbye promo would have sounded like.
The same promo that he always is robotic. It would have been,
It would have been a lot like his interview with Cody after his retirement match, which was fascinating and interesting to hear him talk about his perspective of things. But at the same time, he doesn't portray a huge amount of emotion in terms of how things affect him, what they mean to him. He might say, oh, this was very impactful to me, this is important to me, so on and so forth. But you don't get that sense. I'm not saying he's devoid of emotion. I'm just saying he's by his own admission, he's very careful with what he says and how he presents himself.
Yeah.
He doesn't come across as the same level of emotional human being that AJ Styles does.
I'm sure he's genuine in his own way.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, he just comes across as I'm an entity. And AJ comes across like I'm old and I'm tired. I'm very grateful for every second I had, but I'm so ready to be a dad.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so much more relatable than I'm walking around and I'm an entity,
That I'm going to Hollywood because I got five different movie offers plus Peacemaker.
Yeah, right.
Millions of dollars on the table. They got to decide what I want to do.
Yeah. Sort of the same with The Rock. He shows up and it's sort of like, oh, Rock's here, so now we have to fit everything around him.
Yeah. Yes. Next hot take here, more about AJ. Cole L says AJ Styles is right about WrestleMania losing its luster when all you hear every week is, this is the biggest show ever. The show is the most important event in WWE history, etc. Eventually, that takes away from the actual big shows. Well.
So here's the actual quote from AJ. And this was when he was on Raw Rewind. He said, WrestleMania, listen, I'm sorry to say it used to be the most prestigious PLE or pay-per-view, whatever you want to call it. But to me, it's kind of lost its luster a little bit. As far as Royal Rumble, well, that's special to me because that's where I made my debut. So to be able to end it where I started, that's poetic. He also talked about, I think it was last year's when he did Logan Paul, how he was just coming back from injury.
Yeah. Initially, that's when he wanted to retire. It was Mania last year, but he's just coming back from the foot injury, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no story that they told. They just sort of put it on. The quote felt a little bit more, a little bit less big picture and a little bit more what it means to AJ himself, as opposed to, oh, it's not what it used to be. The company's done a bad job, handling WrestleMania. It felt to me like it was a bit more on the personal level.
AJ's history at the Rumble is probably far grander than it is at Mania. I mean, probably AJ's best Mania match is at 33 against Shane McMahon. Whereas at the Rumble, he debuted at the Rumble. He had a great match against John Cena at the Rumble the following year.
Yeah.
His history at the Rumble is far more extensive and held highly than anything he probably ever did at WrestleMania. So I get that. But at the same time, let's take out the subtext of what AJ had to say, because I think there is a larger conversation to be had about WrestleMania. And when they say of certain shows, experience equal to or greater than WrestleMania, which is not a marketing term they use as often as they used to, but they did.
They did one, that year with the Saudi thing.
Year or two, yeah. Where it seemed, and for the longest time, WrestleMania was the stadium show every year. Now they're trying to get as many stadium shows as they can.
And 2-day stadium shows.
And 2-day stadium shows at that. So while WrestleMania is never not going to be WrestleMania, the idea that it is the pinnacle of the wrestling calendar every year, I mean, it still is, but maybe not to the same degree it was 10 years ago. Because there's other events I think WWE is trying to market as roughly comparable to the WrestleMania experience.
Yeah, by virtue of other things, maybe trying to have those things catch up to WrestleMania. So
they can better monetize those events. Yes, yeah.
I feel like you're right. I think the gap is getting smaller.
Yeah, narrower for sure. Yeah.
When you have a 2-night SummerSlam, and you have, we talked about this recently, how 40 really was like a big deal because they had the changing of the guard. Whenever you can pay off a story that has been told over a long period of time, and you've got this natural storyline, payoff, and it has to, and the only place it can happen is WrestleMania. WrestleMania is always going to be that thing. Has it lost its luster? I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on how you view it, because there's no lies in what you just told. If everything else is sort of, they're trying to have everything else or a lot of other things catch up, does WrestleMania, by virtue of that,
kind of settle back down? The rest
lose
of
its luster.
PLEs,
I could see that point of view. They still put everything they have, or they've still put a lot, I should say. They still put a lot into it. No other show gets its own fancy custom set. No other show are they filming these, I'm not going to say elaborate, but at least well-filmed vignettes well in advance. They wouldn't be able to command as much money for WrestleMania from Saudi or whatever localities, Vegas or whatever, as WrestleMania. It's still their thing. So I don't know. Personally, I don't think it's lost luster. I think, yes, they are trying to have everything, but then they always, they'll always counter with something a little bit bigger at WrestleMania, like I mentioned, the sets, the pre-filmed vignettes, things like that.
Yeah, and the least in terms of the presentation of it, they'll step it up.
Yeah.
I saw an interview clip with Paul Heyman where he was talking about, here's the thing. I never saw any transcripts of this anywhere, so this could be some AI made up stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah, dude.
When you see a video clip on Instagram or something, you just don't know.
Yeah.
So I'll look it up after I mention it. You can respond. Where Heyman was talking about WrestleMania next year, and says he's been the only one backstage, like saying, "Hey, what are we gonna do next year for WrestleMania?"
Yeah.
And he says, well, everybody's concerned about what we're going to do this year for WrestleMania. And he says, well, if you understand what you're going to do next year, it makes booking this year easy because it should follow a path that naturally leads to WrestleMania. next year. And WrestleMania next year should lead to the path of the following year's Mania, and so on and so forth. And he was like just going on about how he was seemingly the only one who was thinking about what's going to happen a year in advance.
I got your back on this because this is from Busted Open Radio.
Yes, because Bully was there. Yes.
And this transcript is to you from Wrestle Talk. He said, I've been for the past 8 months jumping up and down with my hands flailing in the air saying, what are we going to do at Saudi Mania? Everybody's very concerned with what we're going to do at Vegas Mania. I'll tell you what, let's book Saudi Mania. It's going to make booking Vegas Mania much easier. Not that Vegas Mania is the launching pad to Saudi Mania, but Vegas Mania is the launching pad to Saudi Mania, which is the launching pad to Mania 28 to 29. It progresses. It's bigger tomorrow than it is today, bigger 2 days from now than it is tomorrow. Next year's WrestleMania, by definition, has to be bigger than this year's WrestleMania, and so on and so forth. So yeah, you know, I think that's a smart way to go. That's why Paul Heyman is who he is. And the funny thing is, it's not even a revelation. Like, they should be doing that.
Yeah. But I guess I bring it up because if the idea is, granted, there's injuries, there's extenuating circumstances that probably caused them to change course and what the original plans were with WrestleMania. But at the same time, if to a certain degree they're treating, in terms of how they approach the booking of it, if they approach WrestleMania not too dissimilar from other shows, I think people get the sense of that. Like, we're seeing that this year where, you know, we're a couple months out, less than that. And yeah, there seems like there's some matches kind of crystallizing apart from the one that's been announced, but it just seems like this year it's more glaring that maybe it's because Brock Lesnar's doing an open challenge and it's clear they don't know who his opponent's going to be. That there's so much more up in the air this year than there has perhaps in the years prior.
Let me just proffer this, and it's not an excuse at all for the lack of build that we've seen this year. I mentioned earlier John Cena is a thing. He's an entity.
Yeah.
Last year, we had John Cena consuming WWE. And I wonder if it's...
It's like he's Rawgate Mutant, huh?
Yeah, exactly. And I wonder if it's difficult to be like, hey, next year's WrestleMania, let's start booking it at Cena Mania, because Cena, that's it. That's Cena. You know, there's not going to be a Cena next year. And so, like, we do kind of see some leftovers from that. The night one main event has led to CM Punk versus Roman in a terrible... It hasn't really been like this led to this. It was like, hey, let's do something kind of like that.
Yeah, no. The other ideas we had just can't happen now, so that's what we're doing.
Yeah, so I don't know. Dude, look, I absolutely think, you know, because there are 15 other matches on the card that they could definitely be using to get us to where we are now.
Yes.
And they seemingly haven't really done that.
No.
But then there's been injuries, and who knows how that's affected it. You know, we had Bianca last year, no Bianca this year. Bianca versus Jade would have made a lot of sense this year, and they probably would have done it.
Absolutely.
Seth Roman, Seth Braun Punk, whatever. Things would have made sense at the Raw after Mania last year, leading to Mania this year, and they couldn't do it because of injuries. So I understand there's a lot going on, but yeah, like, you should be booking these things so that there is much more of a, you know, continuity,
a logical
roadmap
kind of follow through, a through line you could see from one Mania to the next. Absolutely.
Sure, absolutely, yeah. We have some sponsors for the show this week, Larson, so let's go ahead and take some time and talk about them.
Let's do it. This episode of Going in Raw is sponsored by Tempo. I like to eat well, and I try my best to make my own healthy meals at home as often as I can, but there are times when my schedule is just too packed. And prioritizing healthy eating is, unfortunately, one of the first things I usually got to drop just to save some time.
I feel you, man. In those kind of moments, my default used to be a trip to the nearest drive-thru or constant runs to the kitchen to grab whatever snackies I had. But now I reach for Tempo. Tempo provides me with nutrient-packed meals that are delivered directly to my door and are ready to eat in just 2 minutes. Perfect for those times when I need real fuel real fast.
And Tempo keeps things exciting with 20 new chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals every week, like Italian sausage pasta and sweet and sour pineapple meatballs, and they're made from nutrient-rich ingredients so you can stay consistent with your healthy eating habits.
Tempo is convenient and flexible enough to fit the way you want to eat. No matter your goals, Tempo has a meal for you. They've got carb-conscious, GLP-1 balanced meals, and protein-packed meals with up to 30 grams of protein.
Hold up.
Right.
Did you say 30 grams of protein?
I did say 30 grams.
Yeah. For a limited time, Tempo is offering Going In Raw listeners 60% off their first box. Go to tempomeals.com/raw. That's tempomeals.com/raw for 60% off your first box. tempomeals.com/raw. Rules and restrictions may apply. And this episode of Going In Raw is sponsored by Nowadays. Steve, we like to joke. We kid around about getting our load on after we wrap up our SmackDown review every Friday.
Ain't no joke to me, buddy.
All right. Well, at my age, speaking for me, Larson, doing that only leads to one place, and that one place is Hangover City.
Oh yeah. Hangover City. I know it well. It's not a fun place to be, but I've got some good news for you, Larson. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
I can grant you access to a club, very special club that guarantees no hangovers.
Club? No hangovers? Tell me more.
I'm talking about the No Hangover Club.
I'm floored. Tell me more.
You're probably asking how that's possible.
How is that possible? Tell me more.
I got the answer for you, man. Nowadays is a zero-proof THC-infused beverage that delivers a clean, balanced buzz with no hangover. So you don't have to trade a fun night for a painful morning.
Nowadays offers up a smarter way to drink with a smooth taste and a social lift that actually feels good. Whether you're pouring it over ice with one of these or cracking open a ready-to-drink can, one of these, Nowadays fits whatever vibe you're looking for, pre-game party or a low-key night in. In fact, I cracked open a Nowadays last night to help me wind down after a long, busy day. Nowadays is how you show up and wake up feeling your best.
Because fun shouldn't come with a cost. Welcome to the upgrade. Welcome to Nowadays. Visit trynowadays.com/raw to get 30% off your order. That's trynowadays.com/raw or use raw at checkout. Drink responsibly, must be 21 or older. All right, Larson, before we continue on these hot takes, let's talk about merchandise for just a moment. That's right, friendoshop.com.
I got a hot take. Let's really sell the melty stuff first.
You're hot. So what's your hot take? That melty stuff is a yay?
Yeah, I feel like that's prime mover. As Mr. Dope likes to say, it's wet.
All right,
it's great.
So as you guys can go ahead.
This is what I want to see. I want to see some metrics. I want to see some numbers. What has been the prime movers, the top sellers of this particular line of merch, all of which is great. I'm not going to say anything bad about any of it.
Yeah.
But I want to see some numbers, some data. Something tells me the melty stuff is doing just fine.
So I will say this. To your credit, the melty stuff, it's kind of a half and half at this point. It's selling just as well. I will say this: this shirt here, the I Watch Wrestling for the Exploration of Interpersonal Dynamics between Characters, that is the number one seller of this latest batch. It is top seller. And we got a couple of the hats, but yeah, there's the melty jersey has been sold. Couple of the melty hoodies have been sold. The melty shorts have been sold. So the melty stuff, this melty stuff that you guys see on your screen right now, it's doing fine. Hopefully nobody tries to wear this to a bar. I'm assuming the gentleman that purchased the jersey, his jumper is wet. He's showing up. He's balling fools because they're like, who is this clown wearing this melty stuff? And then he's just breaking ankles left and right.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming those who have purchased the Interpersonal Dynamics shirt, they're probably going to the bar, pulling some 7s and some 8s. That's what I'm thinking. So right now, friendoshop.com, make sure you use the code Friendo2026 so you don't pay full price for this stuff.
Don't pay full price, no.
But we got the melty stuff. We got the non-melty stuff. Friendoshop.com. Go check it out.
There's something for everybody.
There is something for everybody at friendoshop.com. We got all sorts of stuff there as well, not just the latest merch drop. So check that out. Also, real quick, a new predictions challenge begins anew here in
the
February.
form's up.
The form is up. Elimination Chamber is on the ticket for the Predictions Challenge here in February. So be sure to click on join right here, youtube.com/Stephen Larson, or you can use the QR code above Larson's head up there. Go to patreon.com/Stephen Larson and click on the Friendo Club set up there. You can get the membership, the thing, the Friendo Club thing.
Get the deal.
You get the deal. You get the bonus episodes, question threads, and the Predictions Challenge. Join us on Saturday for Elimination Chamber watch along, review, and the Predictions Challenge.
Yes.
All right, back to those hot takes, Larson. First up from Senzo, more AJ Styles talk, this time with the Hall of Fame. Says AJ being inducted into the Hall of Fame so quickly is more about controlling AJ's post-WWE career than it is about honoring him. Continues as someone who watched who's watched since 2019, learning I witnessed most of AJ's WWE run. I have to ask, what exactly did he do in WWE that warrants Hall of Fame status so quickly? Yeah, he's a legend, but he's essentially been the guy who gets thrown out there to make his opponent look good for half a decade. I disagree with that.
Yeah,
that is a hot take.
Like 2016, 2017, AJ was the dude on SmackDown.
The dude.
He was a 2-time champion, held the title a second run, I believe, for basically an entire year.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
He was super over. So if you've only seen what he's done in WWE since 2019, you arguably missed his peak in WWE, which is his first 3 years in the company.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, number one, WWE is fine. Okay. The original part of the hot take here, this is about controlling, his post-WWE career. Yeah, obviously WWE is going to do whatever they can to butter him up, to get him to sign whatever Legends deal, keep him around in case, hey, if he wants to go again, he's going to go again here in WWE at a Saudi show or Wrestlemania or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yes, from a business standpoint, they are going to do everything they can to keep AJ happy and to be friendly with him and to keep him in, because they know what we all know. AJ Styles is a game changer if he goes to AEW.
Absolutely.
He will draw eyeballs, and I think a significant number of eyeballs. I think so AJ too. Going to AEW right now might be, in the end, more of a net positive than Punk was when all is said and done.
Yeah. I think so, because obviously how Punk's left AEW.
Yeah.
You could argue whether that was a net negative overall for AEW in the end, bringing Punk in. Yeah.
It might have evened out at the very least. Yeah. That's a possibility. Anyways, so yes, I think, but I think both things can be true. I think WWE can keep him around by honoring him in a way that is legit. It's like, hey, the fans love this guy. It's good business, and it makes sense for us to put him in the Hall of Fame due to what he's done in WWE, which has been Hall of Fame worthy on its own, but also what he did for wrestling prior to that in basically becoming one of the most influential wrestlers that we've ever seen, that we've seen over the past 3 decades, or 2 decades, I should say. So, yeah, I think this guy is a surefire first ballot, whatever Hall of Fame guy. I'm sure he's probably on some Mount Rushmores out there. In terms of in-ring guys,
without a doubt,
I could see him definitely on the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, in terms of if you buy into the Hall of Fame as a thing, going from 2019 till current, AJ did, number one, we did have pandemic, which killed it for a year. Mm-hmm. And he also, I think, had the most injuries of his career over the past 5 years or so.
Yeah. Go back and watch some of his work, from his debut till, I don't know, when he lost the title to Daniel Bryan.
AJ Styles versus John Cena at SummerSlam.
Yeah, watch
that match. It is holy shit. And then we talked about it earlier, what he means to people, what he has meant to people, it's not even going to say up there. I'm going to say maybe it even eclipses Daniel Bryan and what he means to WWE. Because the big thing about Daniel Bryan too is that, especially since he's been in AEW, he has taken, and I think he's being completely honest, I don't think he's taking digs, but Bryan was kind of over WWE by his last days there. AJ Styles seems to be completely into WWE. He's a WWE guy. He's always wanted to be, I think, a WWE guy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, as far as the first aspect of it, that might be from WWE's perspective. Like, I think the Hall of Fame induction is probably genuine and earnest. But at the same time, it's probably, from their perspective, a welcome kind of side effect of putting him in the Hall of Fame now is that, all right, he's not showing up in AEW between now and April.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
We don't know when his contract actually expires. Maybe it has already. We don't know. So that's another thing that's obviously going to keep him from showing up anywhere else, apart from his desire to do so. We just don't know. He's spoken about, when in the world of wrestling, when he retires, it's kind of a never say never thing. But, if he takes some time off, lets his body heal up, can go one of two ways. He could enjoy retirement, or he can get that itch once he's, his body's healed up. He's got some rest. He's been wrestling pretty much nonstop for 30 years. And he might decide, hey, I got another match or two in me that I think I can deliver at a high level. Where is the best place for me to do that? And WWE wants to make sure it's there. But, if there's a prospective match against Kenny Omega or Will Ospreay that's enticing to him, who's to say in a year from now he wouldn't go to AEW?
If that's something that he cares about, 1,000%. If they really want to try to lock him down, I don't know, I have no idea how old his oldest son is, but they'll lock that kid down. The same way they did Dom. Same way they did Dom and keeping Ray around.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we'll bring in Dom, and then, we'll and Ray ain't gonna go anywhere because he's like, fuck, I get to, do that stuff with my son, stay in WWE, get a really good payday. I could see that being the case with AJ as well. Time will tell. If once his, I suspect his contract, if they've added time to it or whatever the situation is, if he actually allows that to expire, I could see, maybe he'll want to keep those options. I mean, he might be the kind of guy who's like, you know what? I don't want to be locked down to anything. So, but again, maybe he just fucking absolutely loves WWE and couldn't see himself going anywhere else. I don't know.
It's entirely possible.
Only the dude knows,
Yep.
And probably Wendy. Anyways.
Yeah. Jonathan H. here with the hot take says, if TKO doesn't lower ticket prices for WWE and stop the banning local watching, they will lose the next generation of fans. So apparently for Elimination Chamber this weekend, WWE is not allowed any watch parties, with a certain mile radius of the venue, like they're doing with WrestleMania as well, because the show's not sold out apparently. So they think the idea, and this happens in like every other sport. You're a fan of the local team, you want to watch the game. It's more often in football or historically in football than because there's fewer games. You want to watch your team, you turn on the TV, and either the game is blacked out, or because it's not a sold out game, or they just have some other nationally televised game on. So there's precedent for this in the world of sports.
Yeah.
So it's not like this is something that's coming out of nowhere. This is a business tactic that's been used over and over. We talked a while back after, was it Mark Shapiro was talking about improving ticket yields?
Yeah, that was the one that was the most egregious.
Because he mentioned that Vince's philosophy was making ticket prices more, accessible for families. And he was like, no, we're not going to do that anymore. That is a huge issue. And if the side effect of that is they're doing these local blackouts for watch parties at like bars and stuff.
Yeah.
That's what they're talking about. It's not like you can't order the show or watch the show at ESPN if you live in Las Vegas,
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, the big question would be what you said about the Shapiro thing. If their strategy is let's get rid of the families, then they really do risk killing that next generation off.
Yeah.
They really do, because then you're strategizing, how can we get kids away from our product, which is horrible. It's awful unless they honestly think, or they have some metrics or whatever to suggest people these days, and this is possible, people these days aren't going to be hip to our product or aren't going to enjoy our product or aren't going to, want to get into it until they're of college age. If they have some metrics to suggest, oh, that's a good business move, then maybe they're right in that. I don't know. You saw during the Attitude Era, yes, there were families there, but clearly it was a product marketed towards young adults. And if they think, oh, that's the way to go, maybe they're on to something. I am very pessimistic about that.
I am too, because not to say there's not precedent for it, but in terms of establishing your next generation of fans, like me, I started watching wrestling when I was like 7, because it was accessible. It's now you can turn a cable or Netflix, all those less accessible now because you got to have 5 different streaming services to watch all the programming. But when granted, I was college age when I started going to shows, but I probably would never entertain that thought had I not watched it when I was 7 or 8.
See, I am the flip side of that. I knew about it because of Rocky 3. I was pretty, the Rocky 3 pretty much illustrates that you could be an idiot kid like I was and be like, oh, this is a form of entertainment. This is all like a fakey fake, but it's a really fun one. It's such a great advertisement for pro wrestling. And then I watch, and then I did watch the cartoon a little bit, but it never made me. And honestly, I don't even know. I'm sure it was, but I don't remember it being something that like my friends were hyping up back when I was a kid. Because I lived in England, and we had I just don't know what the programming was like on base housing through the Air Force TV programming. In terms of pro wrestling, I'm sure it was there. I was never interested, but I did get turned on because when I was in college, because I was hanging out with you guys and you guys all watched it, and I was like, oh, I'll check this out. Hey, this is pretty cool. I like this stuff. So I am an example of that. If you can get them young, that's when you get them, though. That's just, I just feel like that is a good formula. But if they think that college age is when you want to start getting into it, I don't know anybody in college these days that can afford a ticket to that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
But here's the thing though. You look at the crowd, and the one demographic or the one metric that we don't have access to is in mid 2020 or early 2025 to early 2026 now versus the year prior, year over year. Have they successfully been able to slice out children from the equation? Or are the people who are okay putting it on credit cards, Klarna, people who do have money, people in the top 10%, whatever, are they still bringing their families out? I see plenty of kids out there. Anecdotally, Bama's friend went to the last show here in Sacramento. But is there a drastic reduction in the kids that are going to the product now? Are they successful with this? I just don't know.
I don't know either. But, in a broad sense, it just seems like a bad long-term business strategy to price families out.
It does. It feels like that. Feels like that.
Because there's a lot of times you'll when we meet somebody, we talk about what we do, and they're roughly our age. Yeah, they may have watched in their 20s during the Attitude Era. They don't watch anymore. Mm-hmm. So while you might capture those fans in this moment, the college age young adults, there's no guarantee, especially as they grow older, and they'll start taking on more responsibility, maybe get married, have family of their own, whatever the case may be. There's no guarantee that they're going to stick around and continue watching the product for 10, 20, 30, 40 years.
To a degree, it reminds me of superhero comic books, Marvel and DC stuff. It's like the manga publishing industry is booming. Even the non-superhero publishing, in bookstores is huge. But Marvel and DC, it's like their stuff is so convoluted. It's so expensive to get into. You go to these comic book stores and it's a bunch of dudes that look like me. It's older dudes who, hey, I've been reading these superhero comics since I was 12 years old, and I'm not going to stop now. Well, you don't see a lot of kids in there. And back when we were kids, you would totally see a bunch of kids there. Yeah. So, and you look at the state of Marvel and DC now, And, DC, they basically have, they're doing pretty decent these days, but certainly not what it used to be. And Marvel's sort of down bad these days, from what I understand. I don't really pay too much attention, but yeah.
Hot take here from the Wallinator says the women's tag division feels vital, but only at the expense of the other 4 belts. Vaquer and Becky are trying, but Jade and especially Julia are complete afterthoughts.
The Jade thing is interesting because why did they not have her defend her title for 3 months?
I know.
That was horrible.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand that.
And the women's US title is not it's not doing great right now. But I think Vaquer and Becky, I think they're fine. I think Becky's in a high profile situation.
Yeah, I think the women's intercontinental title, when Lyra had it, especially when she was feuding with Becky, and then since Becky's had it, has been consistently showcased on TV in consistent stories.
It's kind of been like their top women's singles title.
It has been, because for the longest time when Stephanie was champion, they would just set up feuds just to have the matches, and there wasn't really any stories. It's just recently that they're actually telling stories now involving Stephanie. The stuff with Liv has been pretty good so far.
Yeah.
But that's what they haven't been doing over on SmackDown.
Yeah.
They haven't really told any stories with Jade. They haven't told any stories with Julia. She dropped the title for a few weeks to Chelsea and won it right back. But there wasn't a story there per se.
Yeah.
They just wanted the title change, evidently. And most of the interesting stories in the women's division are happening in the tag division right now, because you got 10 competitors, I'm just guessing, 6 teams, who are constantly mixing it up. You get to see the interpersonal dynamics between the teammates, the team members, plus between the teams.
Yeah.
And that's where the good stuff is. And there's obviously a lot of creative energy going to the women's tag division, and it's yielding good stuff. Where's that level of creative direction across the board for all the titles in the women's division, though?
Okay,
I don't necessarily think, all right, we're going to dedicate a bunch of resources to the tag division to build that up at the expense of everything else. I don't know if that's like the willful plan within WWE Creative.
No, I don't think it is either. I think they put that title back on Julia because they know she can have matches like she had with Rhea, and that's going to be maybe the attraction for that title. Look, it could entirely be we don't have enough creative energy to focus on everything, so let's focus on the names that we like to focus on. There is, I will say this. To me personally, I care less about the titles and more about the stories.
Same.
As long as I'm getting a lot of as long as whenever somebody shows up on the screen and I'm like, oh, I'm entertained by this, I don't give a damn about what the title's doing. And so when Rhea and Io and Kyrie and Asuka show up, I'm like, oh man, I love these. When Liv and Raquel, they're on the same page, but maybe they're not. I love that kind of shit. To me, the titles are simply a story plot device that they have available to them. And so I'm like, hey, if I'm getting some good stories, I don't really give a shit. And at some point, if they get around to making something out of the U.S. title, cool. Do I recognize that they're not doing shit with it? Yeah. And maybe that makes it stand out more.
I think it does, because I think the thing is when a title is kind of in play in terms of being used as a storytelling device, and it's kind of not, it just makes that omission more glaring.
And when you have matches for that title, it's sort of like, why do we care right now?
Exactly, with no real story motivation. Yeah, they might set up a feud to motivate the match, but where's the story?
Right, yeah.
It makes it more glaring when there's a title involved, especially if it's the top title in its respective division, without a doubt.
Yeah. I think we can all agree that all those titles are doing better than Maxine Dupree right now.
Wow. They did a great job building her up in the span of 2 weeks. She's like back to where she was before all this began.
Yeah, dude, maybe even in a worse spot.
Could be.
Next up, Mars13W says, the Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada, should have signed with WWE.
Why?
Put him in the Fed. Oh, man, so we can get Pyro and be feuding with Rusev and
again.
Dude, look, man. I love me some Rainmaker in AEW. I think he's terrific there, man.
He's awesome. He's doing such great work.
He's one of the dudes that they took what he did in New Japan and they made and without ignoring that history, while celebrating that history, have transformed his character into somebody that I am endlessly entertained by. And he only shows up it only shows off in small amounts in AEW, but it's perfect. They don't give us too much. I could use a lot more of it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, same.
But I think he's in the perfect spot in AEW. I think he'll probably end up being AEW World Champion sometime in 2027, if not towards the end of this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he will get a bigger spotlight. But I love Okada, and I don't think he would be as entertaining as he is in WWE. He wouldn't be putting on, he would not be allowed to put on the matches that he puts on in AEW. And that version of his character that I think is so entertaining, I think would be dulled down to something where they had to clean slate it first and build it up from the ground.
Yeah,
and
or just take what worked in New Japan and continue on with that.
I think they would probably boil him down to he'd probably be closer to like a Stephanie Vaquer, where she comes in, she gets by on her aura, but they don't really give her much to do until, like you said, just recently.
Yeah.
And I feel like that would be Okada. He'd probably win a lot. He'd be kind of maybe Julia, but like probably a babyface.
Yeah, he would be a babyface probably, because that's what he was for a vast majority of his New Japan run. It was shocking for him to come to AEW and almost immediately turn heel.
Mm-hmm.
And he seemed to enjoy that opportunity, and he has run with it. He is consistently one of the most entertaining characters in all of wrestling. And I don't think he'd be given that opportunity from a character perspective, more than anything else. From a character perspective, to have this much fun in WWE as he is in AEW. And so, yeah, I think Okada made 1,000% the right choice.
I do wish they'd give him a bit more of the WWE presentation. Give him. Remember when he came out in New Japan with like a dinosaur?
Yeah,
I want more of that.
All right,
that's a small that's a small ask.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I've always felt AEW they need to get that presentation up a little bit, crank that up a little bit.
They're not the multi-billion-dollar company that WWE is, but maybe if AEW starts price gouging the fans with their exorbitant ticket prices, they can afford better presentations, Steve.
Well, I don't know if anybody's going to buy those tickets, but anyways, let's move on to Crash Brandon Coote, who says Austin Theory is the answer to what if Stephanie never heard John Cena rapping on the bus? This is so true.
Yeah,
it's the answer to the question, what if Stone Cold was happy being the ringmaster?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of those situations that
he's Rocky Maivia.
A company is obviously invested in developing a particular talent, in this case Austin Theory, continually, at least since the way, come up short in terms of that performer's creative. And then you mentioned Stone Cold and the ringmaster. Cena, doing the Doctor of Thugonomics thing. This particular performer's at a crossroads where it's like, all right, I got to take the initiative now to essentially save my WWE career and come up with something that's going to work. And I know the Cena situation is a little different because the example cited here with Stephanie hearing him freestyle on the bus. But it seems like at this juncture, Austin Theory has to kind of make a push to take control of Austin Theory's WWE career in order to save it.
You got to think that one of the hardest things to do in wrestling is take a big risk, like a big swing.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's probably getting paid decent.
Mm-hmm.
He shows up, says, what do you want me to do? And he does it to the best of his ability. But you're right. It might be a situation where you need to just try something. You need to offer up something. You need to be like, hey, you know what? This is what I can offer. Let me try this. And maybe we talked about this before when we've seen him on commentary and he can't really improv all that well. He's in there with Cena and Cena rips him to shreds and Theory does not have much to give back.
Yeah.
It could be like Rocky Maivia had it. He found it, or they found it. Cena had it. Stephanie might have stumbled upon it, but it was there, and they found it, and they did it. It could be that he simply doesn't have it. It could be that he does not have that main event thing. And, I don't think it's seemingly at this point we'll never know. Because, man.
I mean, if it's a situation a year from now, the company decides, all right, we're going to, Austin Theory's still young. He's in his mid-20s, I think. If they take an approach where they still believe in him, but think it's better for him to maybe take the Drew McIntyre, Cody Rhodes approach, if that's something he can do, where he can go out in independence and reinvent himself and then come back as a more defined character. Because far outside of the stuff in the way, the one thing that seems Austin Theory has a lack of awareness of is who his character is. I still don't feel like he knows who his character is.
He doesn't have one.
Exactly.
He doesn't have one. But here's the thing, dude. I was watching clips from NXT last night. You got like 5 Austin Theories there waiting.
I know.
And some of them dudes do know who their characters are.
Yeah.
You got that Jackson Drake guy. You got his dudes in the Vanity Project. They just won the NXT tag titles last night.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And Miles Bourne.
Right. Huge year for Swipe Right, huh?
Yeah. Miles Bourne just won the North American title.
Saw that. That's awesome.
That dude might be a big deal. You got Ethan Page still down there. He might be coming up to main. You got a bunch of dudes who kind of tick some of those boxes off that Austin Theory does. And by the way, you say mid-20s. He's capped out on mid-20s. He's 28 years old now.
All right. He's approaching he's approaching 30.
He is. He's like approaching 50. He's like us. He's approaching 30.
But
which is still really young.
It's
still
I think
very
both
young.
Drew and Cody were still.
Oh, yeah.
They were in their mid-early 20s. They were, a little older than that when they.
I'm not
they
saying he's old in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
He's younger than Leo Rush. I think Leo's like 29 or 30. So, dude, yeah, you've got people who are early to mid-20s in NXT that can kind of fill the thing that he does.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to find that thing. And like you said, maybe it's a matter of leaving. But here's the thing. Maybe you go to New Japan because maybe they'll have something different for you. Yeah. You go to AEW, guess what, buddy?
Lost in the shuffle.
you better have some ideas for your character. Otherwise, you're going to be lost in that shuffle, man.
Yep. Hot take here from Tree Toking Lefty. Says AAA's weekly Saturday show is becoming a more enjoyable watch than Monday Night Raw. Heard good things about AAA show.
Your guy Steve here did some research on this. I watched this week's episode before we started shooting today, and I gotta say, I don't know. It's apples and oranges. It is apples and oranges. I will say this: it's a 48-minute show because I think they just do like an hour on Saturdays.
Mm-hmm.
Clears NXT by a mile.
Yeah.
I will say this: there's no women's wrestling at least this week, which is kind of a bummer to see.
Mm-hmm.
But, and I can't speak for those AAA fans who enjoyed the product before WWE, so I don't really know like what their product was before and what it is now, the weekly show.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. These are the things that I love about what I saw on this show. Number one, it is the Dom Mysterio show. He is their Stone Cold Steve Austin. He comes out, people go crazy for this guy, and he's a babyface, and yet he still retains that Dominic Mysterio thing that he has going on Raw. So it is the Dominic Mysterio show. I think they've done a good job with Vikingo as a bad guy. He's got Darian Roldan with him, and he's got Omos as his heavy.
All right.
And Vikingo cuts a pretty decent heel promo. They did a contract signing for, I think it's Rey Reyes coming up, which is, Rey Reyes apparently is a 3-week event now. I don't know if that means every day for 21 days, 24 hours a day, but it's going to go over, I think, 3 weekends. They did a segment where Vikingo goes to a hospital, and there's like some like 17-year-old kid and like laid up in a hospital bed, and Vikingo attacks him, like flips over his bed, and he tells Dom, he's like, "This is what I did to this kid. Imagine what I'm gonna do to you." And Dom, as nonchalantly, is like, "Congratulations, dude. You just beat up on a 12-year-old." Like, doesn't get mad. No sells it. Says, "All right, so you beat up on a 12-year-old." And then El Grande comes out, and then Original Grande comes out, and like the crowd boos Original Grande. It's a whole bizarro world. But there are still shades of old AAA. Like, for example, you've got Abismo Negro Jr., who's wearing complete Batman gear. No logo, but he's got the ears, and it's kind of more like Batman Who Laughs, like the Batman Joker combo thing.
Gotcha.
So there's still that, mild copyright infringement.
Yeah.
He's feuding with the actual son of Abismo Negro, whose name is El Fiscal, also which is translated to the prosecutor. So they've got like a blood feud going on right now.
Yeah.
You got coming up at Rey de Reyes, Psycho Clown, and Pagano versus the War Raiders for the tag titles. So there's a lot of fun stuff. And then the commentary team is Corey, Rey Mysterio, and JBL.
Huh.
So there's some fun stuff going on there. It's definitely a nice breezy watch. There's some really good wrestling. I only watched this week's episode, but yeah, in terms of like where I would rank it on the rankings, still I like the razzle dazzle of the Raw and SmackDown, but in terms of their developmental shows, this is definitely
Tops.
up, or not developmental. I shouldn't say they're B-level shows. This is tops for me.
It's tops. All right. Guess I'll have to check it out. We got another hot take here from You Didn't Know. DX says, are there any hot takes left? There's so many opinions out there now, but it seems like you'll have at least a few people agreeing to anything. So here goes. China shouldn't have won the WWE Championship in 1999.
Oh.
1,000% agree with this one.
Freezing cold take. She was number one contender after winning the Corporate Rumble.
Yeah.
Where she got the biggest pop you'll ever hear that isn't Stone Cold Steve Austin. Oh my God, she was so over. And Vince McMahon, I wish Pat Patterson or Briscoe or somebody, Vince Russo, Cornette, I wish they all teamed up and told him, dude, she needs to win that championship. This is the one opportunity you're going to get to make history with China, who won the Intercontinental Championship.
Yep.
Have her win the WWF Championship, or at least put her in the main event in a match against Austin or whoever for a pay-per-view. That would have just blown the roof off the man. That would have been great. People would have loved that shit.
Oh heck yeah!
What awesome. A missed opportunity.
Oh, massively missed opportunity. Yeah. That's the hot take that we can both agree with.
Yeah.
Josh Brown with a hot take says WWE wants to increase ticket sales for current and future WrestleManias. Then booking women as the main event needs to be the norm.
I think when you look at how big of a deal and how the crowd responds to Rhea Ripley, how they respond to Io Sky,
to Bianca Belair,
I feel like if they put that level of presentation energy, that creative energy, I think that easily they could be booking them as main event level. I don't know why they don't. I feel like they could. It's their business, but I feel like if 1,000%. You put it in there, I think they totally could. I don't think there's a need. When you look at the in-ring, when you look at the reaction the crowd gives them, when you look at the type of matches they could put on, when you look at their name brand value, they should. You just put that energy that you give to Roman and Punk. You say, hey, Rhea versus Io, the biggest main event in WrestleMania history.
Well, that's the extent of here's the thing. It's not like they're putting a lot of creative energy into Roman and Punk. Punk, I hate you. That's the story so far.
Yeah.
It's nothing elaborate. It's the marketing muscle they're putting behind that match. They did the same for Rhea versus Bianca.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
This is going to be the greatest main event in WrestleMania history. If you got the story plus to back that up.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely. We've been saying for a while, there's 2 Royal Rumbles. These Rumbles are supposed to guarantee you the main event of WrestleMania. Make that the case.
Yeah.
I know they want to build up Chamber. It's the Royal Rumble. It's got the legacy. If you win a Rumble, you should main event WrestleMania. Then it's up to creative to get the match there.
Yeah.
It's up to marketing to market the match as a main event match. The talent is there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Across the board.
Yeah. You cannot tell me that people would not tune in to see Rhea Ripley wrestle in the main event.
I know.
It's just come on. It's a no-brainer at this point. So I think they just hold on to the antiquated traditions of yesteryear.
Yeah, and it's a bummer.
Because it's what they know and it's how they feel safe.
Yeah, and it's a bummer because it does a massive disservice to the level of talent in the women's division. They're not given the same opportunities to main event these major shows.
Yeah,
as the men are.
You got this,
like we saw in the women's tag division right now. That's continually some of the best stuff on WBTV. Full stop.
Mm-hmm.
And if they could bring that level of creative energy to the women's division, kind of as a whole, I mean, then tell some interesting stories. Get people invested in those stories.
Yeah, if they did Rhea EO, this year. I mean, it's there's so much more history there than this Drew, Cody, Fatu, Randy convoluted mess they got going on right now.
I know.
So yeah.
Even if they do a 4-way match with that, that's still an uphill climb to have that main event night one.
I don't like that. I thought last year's night one main was obviously a really good match, and there's a lot of intriguing interpersonal dynamics there. But with this, what they're doing, I'm like, I don't even know why they're, Drew is attacking Randy. Why exactly?
Yeah,
it should make sense.
It's they're booking a match on what they perceive as the marquee value of the participants in the match, as opposed to telling a compelling story, having characters act consistently, and having understandable motivations. And I think at the end, because they're not satisfying the creative side of things, regardless of the name value of the match, it's going to come into WrestleMania feeling limp, especially at main events night one.
Yeah.
Because the question is, why should I care?
Yeah. One Jonathan Hernandez here says, on paper, Miz is more Hall of Fame worthy than Daniel Bryan. This is definitely where the titles exist as a device to tell stories. Now, are those stories worthy of what would be considered because when you're talking about the Hall of Fame, you're really talking about these fictional characters and their accomplishments. And then you can kind of go beyond the fictional characters to the influence, like we talked about earlier with AJ Styles. I don't think it could be argued that Daniel Bryan is a much more influential wrestler.
Yeah, if anybody who tries to argue The Miz is a more influential in-ring performer than Daniel Bryan, I don't know what they're talking about.
And that's no disrespect meant towards The Miz, but Daniel Bryan, come on, You
talk about Mount Rushmore level in-ring talents, he's in that conversation.
He is, absolutely. Now, has he won more championships? Yes. Does that matter? I mean, to the WWE, I don't know. Like if Daniel Bryan was still with the company, he would headline over The Miz in terms of a Hall of Fame. If he was still with the company, I think they power rank him higher than The Miz.
I don't think that's even a question.
The only thing that Miz has is, no doubt more matches under his belt in WWE, because he's right. He does not get injured. But Daniel Bryan had way more highs than The Miz.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it though. On paper, Miz beat Cena at WrestleMania. I get that.
Yeah, but watch the match,
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, let's get some.
You look at The Miz's accomplishments on paper, you're like, wow, what a great career. And he has had a great career.
If you put these two resumes if you put these just on paper side by side, yeah, I agree with this. For
example, Miz has won 21 titles in WWE.
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan won 9 at WWE.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. On paper, their resumes side by side, I totally agree with this.
Yeah.
But that's sort of, you know,
that's not the whole conversation.
It's I think not the most significant story for what
I mean, here's
needs.
another way of looking at this. While The Miz has won 21 total titles, I think he's only been world champion twice in WWE. Bryan Danielson had either the WWE championship or the world championship 5 times.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you're weighing the titles, The Miz had a lot more mid-card titles, more tag titles. But if you're talking main event level talent, so you're going by world championships, Daniel Bryan gets the edge there.
Yeah.
Next hot take from possibly Maddie says, regardless of the actual booking, the biggest drop ball of the invasion was not having a game based around it for the PS2.
Ooh. Man. What year did WWF No Mercy come out? Because we used to have
that was 99.
We used to, well, it was 2 full years before. We used to have to create wrestlers from WCW to put them in No Mercy if we wanted to have dream matches.
I thought No Mercy you could create wrestlers. It was Revenge was the one that you had.
No Mercy you can create people from scratch. Revenge you could change.
You could change the name in the
yeah.
In the
so
outfits,
like we would have to make, if we wanted to make WWF characters in Revenge. I forget what the custom was in 2000.
Oh, 2000 you can make people
from scratch.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So from WrestleMania 2000 and No Mercy, we would have to make WCW wrestlers.
Yeah.
To put them in the game. Yeah. Revenge, it was difficult to put WWF wrestlers in that game because you had to just finagle what was already there.
You just can change their ring gear and their name, and that was it.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I still think the biggest drop ball of the invasion was them not waiting a year and getting the NWO, Flair, Goldberg,
Scott
Steiner. Yeah, I still think that was the biggest drop ball because they could have simply waited like a year. Like, oh, Shane is doing some business dealings over here. Is Booker T and DDP, are they secret agents for Shane McMahon?
Yeah.
You get the CCW invasion still to sort of soften up the roster.
Yeah, you slow burn it. Yeah.
You slow burn it. But then, maybe McMahon and them, they were not maybe 1,000% certain that they'd be able to get those names. Like maybe something else would spring up like the XWF. But if by 2003, certainly having an invasion video game, a WWF versus WCW video game, I think that hot take is correct. I think that could have been sick.
You know what they could have done? They could have kayfabed it with the video game if it came out in 2003 and book the invasion as if NWO, Flair, Goldberg,
do a story mode,
Scott Steiner was there.
Yeah.
The idealized invasion storyline.
Dude, let me ask you this, because you were obviously watching back then. Because I did something, I think I did like a Wrestle Juice hot takes on this a couple weeks ago. Somebody mentioned this. I think they were talking about the tribalism between the two or something. Anyways, somebody pointed out that by the time WWF bought WCW, WCW was so irrelevant for the modern wrestling fan that at the time there probably wasn't as much demand for it as later on we look back on it and say, man, they should have waited a year because they could have done it proper then.
Yeah,
but in your opinion, do you think the brand of WCW was so sort of dead by 2001, or McMahon buying it renewed interest and there would have been that market?
That's what I was going to bring up, is the possibility that WWF buying WCW would be enough to generate renewed interest in the company, especially if it's a situation where whether Vince continued utilizing WCW as its own company under the WWE corporate umbrella, or brought them into, WWF main television, whatever the case may be. Yeah, I could see that rationale for saying, yeah, WCW was mostly a dying brand up until the point where Vince bought the company. Renewed interest. Let's see what happens now. I could definitely see that argument, yeah.
I do remember. So, like, definitely by the time Vince bought WCW, I was not watching WCW. It was trash.
It was garbage. It's terrible.
When they did buy it, that episode, I was intrigued.
Yeah.
I was intrigued. And the possibilities did seem like, oh, shit. If they take the best of the best, if they take that crop and bring them over, there could be some really cool shit happening there. I think we were all kind of aware of the contract situation, though. So we were like, I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But certainly Shane being on Nitro, even though WCW was essentially dead in wrestling, that was cool shit. That was like, they can do some really interesting stuff. Booker T is there. Lance Storm is there. That's cool. I like Lance Storm, but he's not quite a Hogan. DDP showed up. Oh, he's a stalker. Oh, I think I know where this is going. Bad.
Yeah.
Buff Bagwell versus Booker T. Oh, this is not going well.
No, definitely WWF made a lot of really bad decisions in terms of how they brought.
You know what's crazy, too?
Why was the first match Booker T, who's great, versus Buff, who's never much of an in-ring competitor?
Because there's nobody else. You know what's wild? You know what's crazy? Is that two of the names that could have been pivotal towards the invasion stuff, Benoit and Guerrero, both out for like that entire year.
Yeah.
I think Guerrero was because of painkillers and he was released and then he came back like a year later. And Benoit, I think, was like a neck injury. Mm-hmm. Like they were both out. And it's like, dude, those are it wasn't that long ago they were in WCW.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I always thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah. A couple more hot takes here. First one here from Michael Peters says the blind power ranking segment has run its course.
Just the other day, we had another blind power rank classic where Larson had to blind power rank 2006 movies that were released.
Yeah. Did not do good on that one.
It was great, though. It was intriguing. There was so much tension. There was so much drama. The final reveal.
Perfectly constructed list.
It was. Yeah.
It really was.
So, in my opinion, we are still innovating when it comes to blind power ranking. And here's the thing that we do. This is the thing that we do. We always save it for last.
We do.
We give you an hour of the pro wrestling stuff. We take questions, most of which have to do with pro wrestling, maybe a couple food ones.
Yes.
And then we say, all right, are you ready to blind power
wind
rank?
It down. So here's the thing, Michael Peters. If you don't want to watch the blind power ranking segments, you don't have to.
As soon as I say, or Larson says, all right, are you ready to blind?
That's your cue. That's
You're good. You're good.
Let's turn it off. We won't be upset about it.
No, not at all. Move on to the next one. Move on to a different channel. I don't care. You know, you've got what you got. There's not going to be any other pro wrestling talk they're going to miss out on. Just some good old-fashioned blind power ranking. As long as we enjoy it, we'll probably continue to do it. Yeah. And as long as names like Darius the Great's out there giving us quality blind power ranks, we're going to keep doing it.
Exactly. Die Hard Homer.
They will eventually run their course.
They will.
Yeah.
They will.
Yeah.
They will. When we get bored of them, then you probably won't see them as much. Last one here from Jake the Snake and Bake says, there's no reason fast food breakfast can't be all day.
Bro, going to a bit like more of the lighthearted things that we lost thanks to COVID. McDonald's 24-hour breakfast. That was a thing for like a brief period of time.
Yeah.
And then supply chain killed it because of COVID, and they never brought it back. And now there's the anxiety attack is, wait, is it 10:30? Is it 11? I forget.
Yeah, it's 10:30, yeah.
But mine down the street is 11.
That's interesting.
Yeah, the one on Madison and Hazel. It's 11.
That's interesting.
And the one on Hazel and Sun, like 50. It's 11.
Oh, I didn't know that. Maybe they moved to 11. Here's the thing. It's not like these are fresh ingredients that they have to only buy a certain amount of for fear of them going bad during the rest of the day. The stuff's all frozen. All they do is take it out of the freezer, warm it up, and serve it to you.
if I can't get my way into the no hangover club, if I'm in the hangover club, I ain't getting them. Number one, I ain't door dashing shit because you're paying $40 for a fucking meal. I ain't getting in my car until like noon at the earliest.
Yeah.
So like noon, 1 o'clock, I still need a possible potential McGriddle or a sausage egg McMuffin on a hangover day. If I am in the
You're in Hangover City,
club.
yeah.
I'm in Hangover City.
Resident Steve, yes.
This guy, Lacey's probably next to me. I ain't gonna ask her to go, so I gotta go. I want to bring back some goodies from McDonald's, and really, it's the breakfast. That's what I need.
Yeah,
I need that breakfast.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is a bummer. Jack in the Box still has breakfast. Burger King need to be 24 too because they got that croissant sandwich.
Yeah. I haven't been to Jack in the Box since we got the quad chicken sandwich that ruined Jack in the Box.
You ain't missing nothing, buddy.
Yeah, I know.
You ain't missing nothing. Bama likes Jack in the Box though. Anyways, we drive by. There's like, can we go to Jack in the Box? I'm like, no. Okay. Give me a curly fry.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, man. Anyways, that's going to do it for Hot Takes today. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Till next time, we'll see you guys around.
Goodbye.